Hi and welcome back to the cottage. Today I've got a doozy of a list for you, 100 things that you probably forgot to declutter. Clutter is a funny thing. It annoys you, burdens you, makes your home seem chaotic, and ultimately makes your life feel a little bit more difficult than it needs to. And yet, many times that clutter still hangs around. There's the obvious clutter, sure, the piles of papers, bookshelves that are overflowing, or a packed garage where you can look at this space and see clearly that you need to make a change or you want to make a change. But there are also the less noticeable forms of clutter, the things that we walk by day after day and maybe don't even recognize as being part of the problem. And these are the things that we're going to talk about today. Full-on disclaimer, like always, what I determine to be clutter might be different than what you do. It's up to you to listen to this list and make that determination for yourself. Some points I mention, you may be nodding your head in agreement, and others you might have to think about a little bit more. The cool thing, though, is that this list contains only physical items that you can physically declutter by either donating them or throwing them in the trash can. And so if you were to declutter just one thing from everything on the list, you will be 100 items less burdened in no time. All right, we're going to go through this list pretty quickly, and we're going to start with something really easy that probably most of us can agree on, and that is rags. Many people will cut up old socks or shirts to make rags, and that is a great repurpose use, but we generally keep way too many of them. Keys, extras on the keyring that you don't know what they unlock. Coupons that have expired. Socks without a match. It's time to set them free. Pillowcases. If they've been pushed to the back of the linen closet or reserved only for sickness, it's time to let them go. Baby clothes and gear. It's sad to let them go, I get it, but those things could be helping a family in need rather than taking up storage space in your home. Bathroom tools such as tweezers, nail clippers, and hairbrushes. Old cords from electronics that were outdated. Cheap pencils. You know, the kind that do not sharpen well or that the erasers just make your paper all smudgy. Manuals or instructions. We often keep them for longer than the product itself. Rewards cards that you have in your purse or your wallet. Maybe you signed up to get that first discount and then never went back to that establishment. The card isn't going to do you any good in that scenario. Pens and markers with dried up ink. Sunscreen. It's not as effective if it's expired. You deserve to protect your skin. Jewelry you don't like or that doesn't go well with your clothing. Plastic grocery bags. I get that they can be repurposed as garbage liners or for other reasons, but if you've accumulated a whole bunch of them, consider your actual needs. And along those same lines, too many reusable tote bags can become a burden too. School projects or papers, if you've boxed them up and forgotten about them, it's time to do some sorting and maybe take some pictures or decide which ones you like most and want to preserve. Hair ties that have lost their elasticity. If they look all stretched out, they aren't going to serve their main purpose anymore. Plastic cutlery. Tell me if this scenario sounds familiar to you. You buy a multi-pack of forks, knives, and spoons and use up all of the spoons and forks for some event that you had, but are left with about a half a box of plastic knives. Well, the odds of you grabbing for those knives rather than the stainless steel ones you may have in your utensil drawer are very, very low. So go ahead and declutter them. You won't be needing them. Expired medication is another thing that we tend to forget about. It might just be shoved into the back of our medicine cabinet, but make sure that you do your research before decluttering these items to ensure that you're doing it in the safest way possible. Boxes from moving or deliveries. Why do we always feel the need to keep a good box? Freezer items, anything buried or covered with frost and freezer burn. Stinky or overused workout gear. They don't last as long as we think, and they could even pose an injury threat in the case of worn down running shoes, for example. Ripped or musty smelling towels. Duplicate tools. How many various types of screwdrivers does one household need? Belts, suspenders, or ties that don't fit. Promotional knick-knack freebies. They came into your life unsolicited, which should make it easy to say goodbye. Magazines. If you really want, you can pull out the pages that interest you, and the rest is probably just advertisements. The price of stamps seems to be constantly changing, and maybe you have a few miscellaneous valued stamps that are just kind of hanging around. If this is the case, go ahead and use those up by using multiple on one envelope to get to the right price, and then buy a couple packs of forever stamps to use in the future. Gloves. If they don't fit, if they have holes, if they no longer have a match. Plastic or cheaply made vases that came with flower deliveries. Wall clocks that are never looked at. Ugly sweaters, whether you bought them for an event or they were once your favorite but not your style anymore. Shoes that are uncomfortable. If you dread putting them on, they have to go. Extra backpacks or purses. Kid-sized step stools that are no longer needed for older kids. Artwork that is stored for longer than a year or so. If it's a family heirloom, it should be enjoyed. Stuffed animals. They have a season in pretty much every childhood. And when that season is over, let them go. Trust me, these do not store well. Decks of cards. I mean, how many decks do you really need? Video games, books, or DVDs that you purchased but later realized weren't aligned with your values or the values of your family. Pet products kept for those furry or not so furry friends that you no longer have. Extra contact cases. Can openers, pizza cutters, or vegetable peelers. If any of these things have lost their sharpness, it's going to be pretty tough to get it back. Declutter them and then treat yourself to something new. Headphones, especially when the cords are constantly getting tangled up. So annoying. Old prom dresses or other miscellaneous formal wear. Picture frames with no pictures in them. Collections that don't fit in a specific area that you have designated. It really is important to put some sort of boundary on collections or they can really overrun your entire home. And so evaluate what you have, pick out your favorites, start with those, putting them on display, and then fill in the rest of the space as you have available. The rest is maybe just clutter. Cheap prizes from birthday party goodie bags or restaurants. Stickers that aren't being used. Excess storage bins that aren't storing anything. Guidebooks or maps from vacations you've taken. Coloring books that you or your kids have lost interest in. Bowls. I don't think people stop and think about the amount of bowls they have or consider that they could be used for multiple purposes. The mixing bowl can also be a serving bowl when washed up, for example. Are you keeping too many bowls? Annoying alarm clocks. Wouldn't it be great if we never had to set an alarm at all? Is that what retirement is like? Event t-shirts or hats, unless you want to be a walking advertisement for the company or place for years to come. Extra televisions or computers. Be careful to make sure where these are accepted or if you need to take them to a specific location for disposal. Placemats or tablecloths that you are not using. Fridge magnets. Dead batteries. They aren't coming back to life. They just aren't. Empty bottles or plastic containers you got from a consumer product. If you had plans to upcycle them but never got around to it, give yourself a deadline to get that done or let them go. Cake stands. I'm not sure that many people own these anymore, but if you have one hiding in the back of your cabinets and you want to free up that space, you can use the hack of using a simple plate and putting that on top of an upside down bowl, and it works just as well. Oversized or undersized rugs that have never seemed to fit your space. Keychains that are so bulky you struggle to fit them into your pocket or your purse. Tax documents over 7 years old. It's time to shred them. Games with missing pieces or that make you frustrated every time you play. Rubber bands and paper clips that have accumulated over time. It's also completely okay to declutter junk food that is in your home just tempting you when you're trying to eat a more healthy diet. Cards that you've received over the years, whether from a birthday or as a congratulations, if you're never going to go back and look at them again. Medical or personal care products that you needed after an injury or illness, but haven't used in a very long time. I honestly wonder how many houses have a just-in-case pair of crutches. Flimsy product boxes, especially for items that you buy over and over again. Decanting into more sturdy and attractive containers is so helpful. High maintenance plants. High maintenance clothes. Dry clean only? No thank you. Curtains that you don't have a place for. Windows come in so many different sizes, and so if you've moved somewhere and the curtains that you had in your previous space no longer work for you, don't fold them up and put them in the back of your linen closet. Declutter them right away so that somebody else might be able to get use from them. Inherited dishware. Maybe they are a pretty pattern, maybe they were passed down from your grandma to your mom and now to you, but if you won't use them, what's the point in keeping them around? Clothes that make you fidget, too scratchy, too tight, or they're just an odd shape and don't fit your body well. Hangers. Maybe have a few spares, but if you have a lot of extra hangers, you might subconsciously feel like you should buy more clothes to fill them. Ingredients or spices you purchase for a recipe that you know you're never going to make again. Low quality colored pencils or erasers that don't serve their purpose well. Gifts that you've been given that you just don't like. Yes, it's okay to declutter those too. Journals with personal information in them that you don't want to relive or remember. Toys that only work in a very specific way and don't encourage imagination. We also might forget to declutter school or work uniforms for a school or workplace that we no longer attend. Baskets. They're cute, they're functional, but you don't need them taking up space in your closet. Here's a declutter item that's not usually on these types of lists: light bulbs. They come in so many different color tones, so many different sizes, and if you store a bunch of them, it's hard to grab the correct replacement when you need it. Declutter all the light bulbs that you don't like or don't fit anything that you own anymore. Sewing notions, buttons, patches, zippers, and lace. It is highly, and I mean highly, unlikely that you will be able to find the perfect match for a clothing repair within your personal collection. So if you're saving them for that reason, don't kid yourself. Decorations, whether seasonal or not, that are really not your style anymore. Sticky notes or to-do lists with outdated information. When the project is done, the event has taken place, that note should be gone. Special memory bins. Definitely don't start the decluttering process with this category. It's a tricky one. But it is a good practice to go through these bins on a regular basis, not only to enjoy the special memories inside, but also to determine if the contents of the bin are indeed still special. Fancy drinkware like wine glasses or crystal punch cups that you don't even remember to take out for those special occasions. Bulky exercise equipment that just collects dust. Miscellaneous spare parts. Many items that we buy come with little extra things like a mini Allen wrench to put a piece of furniture together or a plastic patch for something inflatable. These little things can easily get mixed in with others and forgotten about. Cookbooks that you never reference. When I decluttered through mine, I was shocked to find that I only really used a handful of recipes throughout multiple books. Old makeup tools or self-care products that might be holding germs or mold. Think about things like loofahs or makeup brushes. Wrapping paper and gift bags. Think about how often these types of products are used and keep accordingly. Space fillers. These can come in many shapes and sizes, anything from furniture pieces to faux garlands or wreaths. If you have it in your home just to fill up space in a room, consider if you actually need it. Supplies for hobbies you used to enjoy but no longer do. Anything in your home that only exists in boxes and never sees the light of day. And number 100, anything you simply don't like. That is the very definition of clutter. Let it go. I'm so curious whenever I do a long list like this, what were the points that really surprised you, things that you would never consider to be clutter, and which are the things that you're going to go ahead and get rid of right now? Leave me a comment down below because I would love to hear your feedback on this one. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope that you'll stop by the cottage again really soon.